Hi, I'm Reggie Brooks, Executive Director of the Holtz Heroes Foundation, and welcome to the Zorich Podcast as we celebrate Black History Month and some of the legendary players from the Lou Holtz era.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of the Zorich Podcast. I've teamed up with Holtz's Heroes, the foundation, to celebrate Black History Month with a little interesting perspective because we're going to be talking about those Black legendary heroes that were at Notre Dame during Coach Holtz's era. We'll be interviewing some amazing student athletes who literally became instant legends at their time at Notre Dame. One of those amazing student athletes was Derek Brown. He was a first-round pick, played a long time in the NFL, and was actually a former teammate of mine. So he's almost as old as me. I don't know.
Yeah.
How old are you, Derek?
I'll be 52 the end of March.
Yes. Okay, I'll be 53 March 13th. So
that's right. March 31st.
There we go. See, I remember that way back. 1,000 years ago, we used to have some fun doing that. Well, this is great. I think what's kind of really unique when Reggie Brooks talked to me about this was he really kind of talked about how we have so many great players, right? So many great Black players. And he was like, hey, Chris, let's do something for Black History Month. Now, I would have loved we would have had a chance to kind of do this a little earlier so we can get more guys in. But I'm excited about the folks we have now. And we're going to learn a little bit more about Derek Brown that we may not have known. But I think what's even more exciting, though, is that we are kind of cut from the same thread, so to speak, right? And so we kind of grew up listening to this kind of really skinny guy who would just kind of get you motivated and get you pissed off sometimes. But the crazy thing is that I know I've learned so much from those 4 years I was with him that I didn't think I knew until later on in life. So I think that's really kind of interesting. But when we get started, I'd like to talk to Derek about kind of sharing with us your experience as a Black student at Notre Dame.
Sure. Wow, man, what was it? So a Black kid from Florida even was a little bit different.
Did you bring it up?
I didn't realize the the hatred for Miami. So, granted, I grew up about, Merritt Island's probably 2.5, 3. I say like 3 hours north of Miami. So,
Okay.
But yeah, I had there's 5 guys from my high school that went to Miami. During our time there, I think there was 4 of them there. So you had Bubba McDowell, Eric Ham, Hurley Brown, and Daryl Spencer. Daryl, who I graduated with, Hurley, who graduated a year ahead of me. And matter of fact, in that first Catholics versus Convicts game, there was 4 of us from my high school, including me, in that game.
Wow.
So, and that was my second choice. So, if you're a Notre Dame fan, yes, you probably know that whole history. But one of the things that I always did, and not to be, a jerk about it, but Chris, you remember, I used to always, I at one point, I never really wore any Notre Dame stuff. I would always wear other school stuff.
Yep, I remember that.
Like scouts, whatever, of teams I was going to beat and stuff like that. So I remember I had a Miami tank top on. The tank top had the big orange and green U, and it said Miami across the bottom. And I'm wearing it, and of course, I live second floor flanner, right? You're not supposed to take the elevator up
to the second floor.
I'm not walking.
Of course, after practice, before no. You gotta save every inch of energy.
Absolutely. I'm not walking upstairs. I'll walk down them, right? Gravity works. It doesn't hurt as bad. I'm walking down. I'm not walking up. So I'm on the elevator. I remember this girl gets on. She's like looking at me all cockeyed, like, ew, Miami. And so, of course, I had to gnarl and be like, no. I go, that's where I'm from. And then, that shut her up real quick. But being back then, there wasn't a lot of us, to be honest with you, at Notre Dame during that time. What was it like? I don't really know because we spent so much. I mean, I do, but because we spent so much time together, and they didn't have those rules that they have now as far as the amount of time that is allotted to football practice and meetings. So it was like more like survival mode for us. It's like being a military, right? Marines. We were Navy SEALs that had the band of brothers we had to lean on each other just to survive. And, I don't know if it was so much as being, it was a combination of things. So not only to be truthful and be completely honest here, it was tough, somewhat tough being Black and playing football, but it was playing football itself. I mean, you're only here because you play football. You would get that a lot. So, it wasn't always hunky-dory and, everybody loves the football team. No, there was a lot of hatred for us. And especially when we started winning too, even more so,
and even simple things like there would be an article every year in the Observer, the school newspaper. Somebody would write an op-ed why we deserve to get steak and shrimp after victory.
Right.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
What?
First of all, it's fried shrimp. It wasn't like it was being shipped in. It was the same stuff that they were eating.
Come on.
So it wasn't. We didn't have a training table. Like they don't understand that. And like that was another thing too, where most of the population, they don't understand the economics of Division I sports.
Sure.
Like when they see that player of the game, that gets that 25 scholarships, whatever it is, that doesn't go to football.
Right.
That doesn't go to the athletic department. That goes to the body of scholarships for the school.
Right.
And so they think like, oh, we're just doing all this stuff and we get up. Well, no, not necessarily. And so, when said student would say, oh, you're only here because you play football, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm going to be completely honest with you. My response after a while, because I got tired of hearing this, was, well, we pay the bills around this bitch.
Right.
So
right, exactly.
Yeah. Say what
and chances are we probably paid for some of your scholarship.
Yeah, exactly. They don't get and like they don't understand. Like none of the stuff we got, we couldn't get any. Remember this? Remember those Reebok shoes that had Notre Dame on them football, which I never got a freaking pair, but I'd steal Troy's. We had guys had to give it back because if the student body could not receive them, he couldn't receive them. The only thing that we got that they couldn't get was bowl gear from the bowl games we went to. And that was it.
Explain that, dude. So do you think that's going on at University of Miami? You think that's going on at Oklahoma, Alabama at the time? Come on, man. That's ridiculous.
And then I remember I had a sports one summer I had a sports sociology course and we had a panel discussion. And now, of course, can you imagine if they had NIL and we were down, how much money we'd be getting paid?
God.
So, panel discussion was, should scholarship athletes be paid? And of course, I'm like, well, yeah. And of course, regular student was like, well, you're getting a free education. And I was like, you're absolutely right. I said, let's just break it down. From what I know right now, back then it was $18,000 a year to go to Notre Dame a year. Can you imagine that, right? It was 18.
Now it's like 65 or something like that.
Yes. So 18 a year. I said, let's just call it 20. I said, to make it round, let's call it $100,000. I said, we sell out every home game. We sell out every away game. There's concessions. There's parking. That's money. We don't belong to a conference. Any of those bowl games, $6.5 million apiece. We don't split that with anybody. I explained to them how the actual scholarship thing worked for the player of the game every week.
Right.
I then went on to say, let's not talk about, don't forget, we were the first people to do that NBC contract, 5 years, $35 million. So, but then I went on. I said, we win, therefore alumni now start putting more money into it. Enrollment goes up, right? In our area, you know how many people from New York, Albany, New York, now go to Clemson? Come on, like Clemson, granted the weather's better,
right.
But the only reason why they're going to Clemson in South Carolina is because their football programs are winning, right? And they have a winning cures everything, right? And then I go on to say, here's one thing and you know about it because you probably did some, you've been involved with the school and understand the workings of it. I said, and then one said, alumni donates a building. I said, do you realize when that building is donated, not only is that alumni building the building materials and everything, there's a 25-year maintenance contract on said building. So I was like, somebody's making money. Oh, I go, well, and then I ended it with, so in the bookstore, that 12 jersey, 86, 50, we all know who those people are. Are we getting any of that?
Right.
No. I said, somebody is, but it's not us. So the student athlete did not make this a business, but this is big business, right? And somebody's making money, and it's not the actual people that are actually providing this product, right? That's adding to this brand. So, don't come at me with that, oh, you're getting a free education, it's not fair. Life's not fair.
Well, but kind of what you're saying, there had to be a hush in the class because who's going to come back? First of all, who knows that much
right
in the class? And then who's going to come back and say, well, you just basically broke down everything, right?
Everything.
You broken down folks donating buildings. You broke down the jerseys. You broke down the scholarships. And I don't know if you knew this, but so we were on public aid, and every year my mom had to hand over all of the finances over to the financial aid office because our scholarship would be offset on what the government would provide on a scholarship. So let's say, you said, let's say the scholarship $20,000. Well, if I was able to qualify for, let's say, $5,000 of financial aid, my scholarship is now only $15,000. You cheap bastards. I mean, isn't that crazy?
Totally. Oh, and I totally forgot to even add the part about you're not even allowed, being a scholarship athlete, we're not allowed to work.
Right. You can't work, couldn't work.
Even during your off season.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, and what am I supposed to do then? Like, you, Joe student, you can go to work and offset your costs, this, that, and the other. I'm not allowed to. And then they talk, and then I know Notre Dame it was different. It was a lot like some schools and other aspects, to be truthful. I'm not going to go into it, but it was different, right? So back in our day, in order to be eligible, you had to have a 187. Well, not for us. You had to have a 2.0.
Right.
And people don't realize that pressure of, we couldn't skip class. We didn't really skip class, man. Because remember those they do class checks, right? And it wasn't like once a month,
right?
It wasn't once a month. It wasn't once a quarter. It was every week,
right?
Either J.C. Harper or what's his name was outside, with the clipboard, making sure that we were in class, man. And not only that, our classroom is small. Okay, right. We're gonna know Chris Zorich. Being one of the few blacks in the school,
right,
and one of the biggest, we're gonna know if Derek Brown, Chris Zorich, Ricky Waters, Pat Terrell are not in class.
Sure.
So you went to class, man. Besides that, you were not gonna not go to class because you were not gonna have to hear Holtz. You did not want to deal with that. You didn't want that. You did not want that.
Well, it's just so interesting because you think about kind of. And toward the end of his career at Notre Dame, he wound up getting in trouble for grabbing face masks and things like that. But I mean, in his heyday, in our heyday, I mean, he would be locked in jail.
Oh,
for the stuff that he did to us,
Him? What about Joe Moore, Coach Moore, who I absolutely love. The reason why I learned how to do a lot was Coach Moore. The stuff he would say. He would literally kick you in your ass,
literally,
and I tell you right now, though, to this day, every lineman that ever played for him would defend his honor, would defend his reputation, and say everything that man, awful man, put me through is the reason why I am who I am today, and I thank him for it.
Right, and that's what I think. A lot of times. Often we as athletes kind of get the raw end of the deal when people say, oh, well, you're just an athlete. I mean, the things we've learned through being a leader, teamwork, discipline, being able to handle stress. I mean, you talk about all these attributes that we learn, literally on a daily basis 1,000 times a day, right?
Yeah.
And then you're able to transfer them to life circumstances and even work or business circumstances.
Right.
You know,
and
being
that's
a leader.
the tough part, though, Chris. And that's where we need to help, you know, myself included. We need to help our brothers and sister athletes with that transition, because everybody says that. Right. Oh, yeah, you know, because everything we went through, you're absolutely right. That helps with life, this, that, and the other. But it's the execution of it, right? It's the actual doing it, right? And realizing, oh, wait a second, this is just like that.
Right.
You know, it's not just lip service. And it took me a long time to figure that out, of like, oh, wait a minute. This is my superpower. This is what, you know what I mean? Like, I don't got to like you to work with you.
Right.
And some people don't understand that concept. But what do you mean? Like, I don't care. Like, what, you know, don't tell me anything, because I'm working with, when I was working with my guy with these restaurants, and guys would come to work, retainers, you know, with their problems. I'm like, guys, this is game day. This is game time. Not that I don't care, but right now we got to rush to do lunch between 10 and 2. All those problems, I don't care. Leave them at the door. Right now, your focus has to be making this sandwich. We do 3 things here: make sandwiches, be nice, and clean. That's it.
That's all I want.
As simple as that. Right. That's all I want. Like, oh, this person, I don't care about that. Like, right now, doesn't matter. What's the, you know, when? What's important now? What's important now? Holtz, right? What's important now is this, and this. Take care of that. I'm going, if you need a moment, step off the line, go in the back, get your stuff together,
right, and
then get back here and do your job.
Right.
You know,
it's like, those life lessons that are just absolutely crazy.
Totally.
So, one of the things I wanted to kind of get your take on, after your first summer, after your first year, maybe your second year, when you went back to your old neighborhood, did you feel as though you were different? Was there any change? I mean, were you different for going to Notre Dame? I mean, what were the conversations like?
Well, I can tell you this. I can tell you right now, I'll never forget. I tell the story often where, so I was getting homesick that first year, right? Not to where like, oh my God, I got to go home.
How could you not?
Exactly.
Really?
I was homesick, right? And, you know, hadn't been home since July or August, whenever it was. And remember we would get like 4 days, I think, before we had to be out in Arizona for the Fiesta Bowl.
Right.
So I went home. I remember I went to a hotel party on Cocoa Beach. I was like, I couldn't wait to go home. I was like, yes, I'm finally at the crib. No lie, after 2 hours, I said to myself, I don't ever have to come home again.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Because I was at this party hearing the same stories about back then. And I was just like, man, there's a whole world out there. And I was like, yeah, I don't got to come home again. And literally, I never went back home during the office, other than that's what Troy got. We had, good jobs, whatever. So I traveled, I was out in California, and then I would come home for 2 weeks in between summer school and when fall semester started. Because I was like, yeah, no, I don't have to come home again. Like, this was great. It's a great place to be from. Wow. That's my home. Even though I look at it now, like I lived here in New York for 20-some years. This is as long as I live anywhere. Florida is still home to me, but it was only 7 years. Right. But it was 4th through 12. It was the formative years.
Sure.
That is home.
Wow.
But I felt totally different. I was like, yeah, I don't have to do this anymore. Like, there's a whole big world out there, and I'm about to go experience it, and I've been experiencing it. And not that I felt like I was above them or bigger than them, but it was just I was in a different place.
Well, and then also you were exposed to different things.
Exposure.
Right.
That's it.
And so now, the conversations that I had when I went back weren't bad. I mean, they were the same conversations I was having before. It's just now like exactly like you said, like there's this whole world out there that I didn't know about when I was living on the south side of Chicago. Yeah, exactly. Now it's different too. Like when I go back, thankfully, you knew some of my friends that from Florida that came up, and some that stayed, with me for a bit. And, unlike kind of like this, my poker league that we talked about offline,
my guys and girls that I went to high school is just a special group. It's a big group. It's like 3 classes.
Wow.
And, when a lot of people say, oh, I hated high school or whatever. I'm like, dude, I'd go back in a minute. Like,
wow, that's great.
Loved high
that's
school.
Great.
Man, my friends, the guys, like literally, I can honestly say if I had to bury a body and, like in that movie, The Town, like, hey, we're going to go hurt some people. You can never ask me about it. Easily 15 guys in 24 hours will be at my door where we got to go.
That is
like
awesome.
it's I mean, and that could be a low number, but like it really is. It's a special group. And I've been very fortunate. I've lived a great life, ups and downs, obviously. But thus far, man, it's been a great journey. I've been very, very blessed to have very special people in my life, yourself included. And I think now too, since we're in our 50s and we talked about this offline too, and COVID, it kind of just, our perspective has changed, right? It takes you living half your life to realize what's important.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to see what the rest of what life has to offer. But yeah, man. No, it's been good. It's been bad, but it's all good, man. My dad always says, man, every day is a good day. Some days are just better than others.
That's true.
So
very true.
As long as I'm waking up on this side of the dirt, it's gonna be a good damn day.
You are listening to Derek Brown on a special edition of the Zorich Podcast. We were able to team up with Holtz Heroes Foundation and Reggie Brooks to bring you kind of a special Black History celebration of kind of some great instant legends during the Holtz era at Notre Dame, and obviously Derek Brown was one of them. I want to talk about kind of your experience in the NFL. How did Notre Dame, being involved in Notre Dame football, prepare you for the NFL?
It was great, I think, especially because of just the people that we played with, man, and the people that we played against. That Catholic Spurs Convicts game, I bring that up all the time because obviously that's close to me. Do you know how many guys signed a professional contract between our two teams?
Jeez, I can't. I mean,
take a guess. I know the number. Take a guess.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
30?
63.
Jeez, are you serious?
63.
63. Oh my
63.
God. I gotta use it. I'm gonna write that down. Holy, really?
Well, yeah. I mean, It's absolutely insane. And during that time, I'd like to say the second best team in the country was our scout team, our second team.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bryant Young, who's getting ready to go into the Hall of Fame, was riding the pine behind you. Okay.
Well, that's when I had to get. I had to leave. Like when I was a senior, like I had to leave. I had another 5th year, but I was like, dude, if I don't go now, I'm gonna ride the bench. So I'm like, let me go ahead. Because this is dude,
I hear you.
Yeah, like, come on.
Right? Jeff Bob Dahl, right? Was he going to start in front of those guys? No. You look at, I tell people this, like Jerome Bettis was on the bench.
On the bench.
Okay. We had 2 guys split time at tailback, Ricky Waters and Rocket. Dorsey Levens was our 5th string running back at one time. He was slated. Remember, he was slated to start.
Mm-hmm.
Got hurt in that pickup basketball game at home, got knocked down to 15.
And then I think, didn't he ball at like Georgia Tech?
Yes, he went to Georgia Tech and balled, and then went on to Green Bay.
Right.
Like, people don't really, I mean, like, Todd Light was our slowest DB at 4.4.
Jeez.
Like, it was insane, man. I mean, you had Will Clarkson the bench, Brian Young, Junior Bryant, Aaron Taylor, Oliver Gibson, all riding pine because you had Irv Smith, my backup, for 3 years. First rounder. Behind him, Oscar at a position that nobody gave a shit about back then, right?
Right.
And we had, and then after I left, who was his name? Mark or Chris? Another guy who was drafted in the 5th round, right? So it's like, Dude, like it was insane. So how did it prepare me? It prepared me, and I have to say, not only just the program, and how Holtz prepared us, but I got to say in particular, J.C. Harper in the tight end room.
Really?
When he took over, he treated us like pros. Like literally, he's the one that taught us. I mean, Joe Moore technique, right? The technique, how to block.
Right.
Coach Holtz, the overall mindset.
Sure.
But the pro aspect was JC, because he said, look, we got to practice like pros. Like you never knew it, but like in our rooms, we would go over, like he would tell us, so with practice, even though he wasn't supposed to, whatever, he said, all right, listen, all right, Derek, I got 10 plays. You got 10 plays. He goes, I need this out of you. 10 plays. He goes, today we're we're not going full speed, but he's like, I need you to be quick on your feet. Speed. NFL's all speed. He's like, you got to have good footwork. So I need you to bring it 10 plays. Irv, you got the next 4. Oscar, you got these last 2. This is what I need from you guys. And he totally, that mindset on how to practice like a pro, that all came from JC. Because I don't know, you may not remember, but going back, like how we practice as a tight end group, we practice like pros. Everything was fast, crisp. Wow. It was mindset, but it was just like he wanted us to play faster. Technique. We're going to do it over again. Okay, relax. Okay, nope. Now I need you. Crank it up. Let's go.
Right.
All right, dial it back. He protected us. It wasn't always, go. Right. I mean, it was when it was time. But he taught us. J.C. Harper's the one. I'm sure if you have Irv on, he'll tell you. J.C. Harper, man, he's the guy that really at least taught me how to be a pro.
And so you went into that locker room, and was it just like, oh, okay, was it easier? Was it like, oh, this is just a normal day for me? Like, because I know guys from smaller schools, they're like, oh, you went to Notre Dame?
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like that. It was, oh, wow, this is a plane. And like, dude, it's
man, different. Our weight room was better
at
Notre Dame than it was at the Giants.
Which is actually bad, because our weight room at Notre Dame is terrible. It was good at the time.
Right.
They still have it, so it's really bad. But
no, at Lotus though, at Loftus though, it was nice.
Right.
And so my high school might have been even better. So because it was very important, because like my high school was very disciplined. So going from my high school to college wasn't that big of a transition, other than a bigger crowd. We had computerized workouts. We had first period was PE. During the off season, depending on what position you played, it was either first or second period PE.
Right.
We were doing, plyometrics and running with parachutes and elastic bands and jump ropes and stuff like that. Heavy 7-pound jump ropes in 88, 87. So that wasn't a big deal. But I would say the biggest difference in Notre Dame or college ball to the pro game was the fact that, so like you catch a ball in college, one person may come, 2 people may be in on the tackle. In the pros, you could be 3 inches off the ground and somebody just missed you, right? Like everybody's just the game is so much and it's so much faster. And I think the best example I can give of that is Any Given Sunday. Sure. Remember when what's his name's the quarterback there, Billy Dean or whatever his name was, and how the game was like kind of jittery because it's moving so fast until he actually slowed it down. That's the best example I can give of what it's like. And I remember and I'm sure you might remember this too. I remember the first, like it took almost a whole year for me to get off on the snap count, because it's a rhythm. You don't go, after hit. You kind of get the rhythm. You go on.
Right.
It's like, now sit, hit. Hit coming. You're going.
Right.
So I'm getting roasted in meetings because, slow motion, watching it, whole line goes, then I go, right? Whole line goes, then I go. And I'm just like, damn, man, it's just so much faster. But then you get to that part where it's clicking, where you're just out there like playing around like guys in the locker room. Like literally, I could see the ball come out of the quarterback's hand, and I could see the rotation of the ball. And it was like slow motion. And so that was cool when it got to that point where it was just, you're just out there. It looks like this to all the rookies and everything.
Right.
And you're like, whatever. And the game was like slow.
Well, and it's so interesting to kind of hear a person who obviously touches the ball receiver position because, as a defensive player, we're out there trying to take your head off. But when you say that, in college, it's maybe one or two tackles, but then in the pros, there's more. And, oh, by the way, when I'm just about to hit the ground, somebody just, so that's so interesting because I think a lot of people really will kind of understand that because that's the first time I've ever heard it explained that way.
Oh yeah, man. No, everybody they get a hat party. Meet me at the. Remember, y'all used to say, "Meet me there," right?
Yeah.
Let's have a hat party. Tattoo. We gotta lay hands on this guy.
Right.
And yeah, man. Yeah. And it's so funny. Like I don't know how those dudes where you played in the trenches, man. Like that, dude. And I remember this too. So it's funny because I remember when. Was it the Giants? And we split time, different times. When we're away, the Jets are home, so we're getting ready to fly away to the game. But we had meetings, whatever. We come to the stadium. There's a game going on, and when you're up in the stands, right, you can see the whole play. Everything looks slow and everything. Right. And you're like, I remember Stephen Baker was like, "No wonder they be yelling at us." Right? He goes, "That shit looks easy from up here."
Right.
Why the hell did you catch the damn ball? Right? That shit look easy up there, man. When you're on that ground, people were moving fast.
Right.
And you're just like, damn. And then it's funny too. And then you don't realize just how big you are either, right? Until you're at your away game and you got all the defensive linemen are on the, going to the meeting, you're on the elevator, and then Joe Business guy comes walking on, and he's looking up. He's like, damn, you guys are big. Yeah, I guess we are. You're so used to being around.
Right, exactly.
Monsters.
Exactly. So, kind of along those lines with your experience in the NFL, what was it like on draft day for you, kind of hearing your name being part of that amazing first round?
Wow.
What was that like?
It was wild. So, I did get invited to go to New York. But I opted out. Yeah, there's no way I was going because I did not want to be that guy where the camera's all in my face because I'm thinking I'm going here.
Right.
And I don't because technically I thought I was going to. So the Redskins had the 6th pick that year.
Okay.
I was going to be a Redskin, I think. They moved up to number 4 and got Desmond at number 4, Desmond Howard.
Right.
Then I thought I was going to be 9 to Cleveland. They picked up Tommy Vardell. And so then I get the call from Ray Hanley saying the Giants. And I remember, and I had a suite at a hotel on Cocoa Beach.
Okay.
Just private, family and friends. And I remember getting the call, sitting there, got the call, and it was nuts. And then I remember one of my friends went to whatever sporting goods store, bought up all the Giants gear they had, got it back. And I remember, and it was weird too, man. It's like you're watching it, and every 15 minutes, you could be living somewhere else.
Right. Yeah. Somebody's life has changed like that.
Right. It's like 1 minute, you could be Chicago. All right, 15 minutes. Oh, they select somebody else. Shit, where am I going to? Boom. Oh, Rams select such and such. Well, I'm not living in LA. Where am I going to live? Because fortunate enough, we knew at some point in time we were going to be drafted, right?
Sure.
So, we were blessed in that aspect. And then I remember, again, like I said, I'm always a reflective person at time. I would take a step back and just take it all in and be thankful, give thanks for holy shit, man. I'm so thankful for the position I'm in right now.
Sure.
And I remember I went out on the balcony. Everybody was inside. I just went out on the balcony, was just looking around. I was like, holy shit,
wow.
I just got drafted in the NFL. I didn't start playing football till 9th grade. I'm like, this is crazy. And here I am. I graduated Notre Dame. I'm driving a Mercedes-Benz with my family. This is months later, right?
Sure.
Graduation, driving a Benz, and I got a great job. Crazy. And I'm living in a cool city. I'm living in the city, New York. So yeah, man, it was definitely special. It was definitely, I reflected like, wow, I was very blessed, lucky, whatever you want to say. Everything happens for a reason, we talk about, but that's all the hard work, man. That's the things that we talked about before, where the forces at nature that we just don't know. Like, and I know some people, there's parents out there, they, pushing their kids, want them to play D1 or whatever. And it's just funny, I mean, why did it happen to Derek? Well, Derek played soccer at a young age. Derek was 6'4", 225 pounds when he graduated high school. He ran a 4.6. He then grew another 2 inches in college. I graduated, I was 262 and 6'6", and ran a 4.6.
Wow.
So there's boxes, right? In order, you got to fit that prototype.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And people don't realize that. Right. And like people will say, like, well, Chris Zorich is only 6 foot. How did he be a nose tackle? Well, if the prototype tackle or defensive nose guard, whatever, is 6'2", you got to bring something else special to that thing.
Exactly.
Oh, wait a second. Chris Zorich could run a 4.6. Chris Zorich is almost.
Man, you got a good memory, man.
Yeah. Chris Zorich is like 300 pounds, but he curls 225. I remember because I remember how one of the best stories was when, and I don't know if Ricky told you about it, but we were in a dining hall. Ricky likes to be the center of attention.
I remember the story.
And everybody got quiet because he used to always mess with you.
Right.
You could never catch him because he was quick, right? He'd always
but you're being nice. You're skipping over the first part. So when I was in college, I had a very severe stoning problem. I mean, I would literally be quiet. It's a long story. Anyway, Ricky, he would mess with me all the time about it.
All the time. Kill him.
Yeah.
So this one time at dining hall, Ricky's home court, but he doesn't know that you're coming up behind him. And he's like, what's going on? I'm like, why is everybody quiet? Hey, that was the one time you finally got his ass. Because people out there listening, we were all scared of Chris. Do not let this man fool you. We all were scared of him because this dude was he had one track mind and it was just a kill. And he nicest guy. But at the same time, man, Chris, dude, you were feared, brother. You were feared because this dude was too strong. Dude he would curl with big plates. Like nobody did that. Nobody did that with 45-pound plates on each side on the straight bar, the bench. We were benching that.
Well, right, but here's the thing,
Rick always mess with you in the weight room.
Yeah,
get up and
exactly. Right, exactly. Same thing. But here's the thing, and it may look big, but it's only like 135 pounds, right? But with those two big plates, it looks huge. So when you're able to curl that, it's like, but damn, I'm curling with some people bets. Like, damn, I'm the man.
Dude, you did. Nobody else did it. We were all wrong. Nobody else did it. Don't try to downplay it. Don't try to downplay it, man. Like, it is what it is, dude. You were Diesel. You were stronger than any of us. Okay, so that's why we didn't mess with you much.
One of the amazing things that I like, literally, I mean, I loved my 4 years there, but. And then I think a lot of this is because there aren't athletic dorms at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
When we were there for summer school, I felt like that was our place, right? Our school, right? Our town. And it was the first time. Now, maybe, I might not have liked Andre Jones being my next door neighbor, but we would always leave our doors open. And so I kind of think like sometimes like that must be the life that they have in Oklahoma, Alabama, or Miami, where they have, the all football dorms. But I thought it was so special because I think oftentimes that's how we bonded over the summer because classes weren't that hard. We were having a good time. I mean, people listen to music all the time. It was great. And it was those experiences that I remember. I mean, we did a lot of great things on the field, but those summers, man, I just really, really enjoyed those summers.
Yeah, I did too. And I remember, especially when Tecmo Bowl came out that one summer, with Nintendo Tecmo Bowl, that almost ruined a lot of us.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. People
we would stay up all night long talking about, all right, best 2 out of 3, best 3 out of 5, best 5 out of 7. Oh man, yeah, man, and yeah, we would all pile in one room and just talk shit and not only that, though, not only were we talking crap to each other, whatever, about the game or whatever, and just life, but also too surviving, man, because summer workouts sucked. Like,
absolutely,
it wasn't all fun and games, man. We had to have fun, or we would go nuts there, man. Like, we helped each other make it through those tough times, man. It was, I'm not saying it was like, it wasn't life and death or anything like that, but man, dude, sprints and sleds and it still was tough, man. It was tough. It was tough.
One of the things that kind of, I guess I didn't understand it at the time, but Lou Holtz always talked about his mantra, which was trust, love, commitment.
Yep.
And as a kid, 18 years old, we didn't understand that. I mean, you're talking to a group of 105 guys. You're talking about love. Like, what are you talking about? So what does trust, love, and commitment, that mantra, what does that mean to you now as you're older?
It means exactly that, man. That trust, love, commitment, man, right? Where that common bond, that goal, like now it's funny, especially after my wife died. I started doing it before that, again, because we're that age now, right? We got friends dying, like, and especially we played this game of football. We got guys who committed suicide, right? We didn't even touch about that, right? That we know. So we're losing people left and right, and people that we know. I tell people all the time I love them. Mm-hmm. And I mean it. Like, I don't care. Like, I tell, like, my good friends from high school, man, hey, man, I'll talk to you later, man. All right, man, love you. Tell people you love them, man, because you don't know if that's the last time you're going to talk to that person ever again.
Right.
I'm not trying to be silly about it, but it's true.
No, that's 100% true, bro.
I say it all the time, man. Like, whatever, man. Like, I love you, Chris. Like, I mean, we did a podcast, whatever, a few weeks or months ago. I told everybody, man, I love everybody. Like Dean Brown, love each and every one of your mugs, right? Because even though we have not spoken in so long, we can still pick up where we left off. But people are not going to know. Like, I don't know everything that you've experienced as any other in the past 30 years, right?
Sure.
But one thing I do know that I can experience with you, I was with you for 4 years, man. Right. Like, during those times, those tough times, at Notre Dame, just trying to make it through summer practice.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Or winter conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Or just being, just being at Notre Dame, period, during the wintertime, whatever. And like, everybody, the guy that you work with for 25 years at, your law office, this, any other, you might have been close and all. And you probably super close.
Right.
But
I put 4 years with him when we were in college, right?
Exactly, man. Exactly. And they can't take that away. The only people that understand that stuff and that shit is the people that you went through it with.
Absolutely.
That's it.
And it's interesting because it's such a small group. Even though, it was 100 years ago, you had some success in the NFL. And for me, the NFL was so, it's like a business. I mean, and especially I can imagine you coming into the first rounder, you're a rookie. Did people even talk to you in your tight end room? Because you're about to take someone's job. There are 4 of you guys, and at the end of the day, it's going to be 3. And you get after the first round, so that one guy's not going to be there. Right, man. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And what I found too are the teams that were successful. So like my 90, especially that 96 Jacksonville team we made to the AFC Championship game, was almost like being in college. We were always together in the locker room. After, I remember Thanksgiving, we were hanging out in the locker room, snuck a bottle, we're playing cards, hadn't even showered yet. It's like 2 hours after practice, laughing, just being together, man. And those teams, I mean, it's great. You like I said, we said before, right? Don't have to like each other to work with each other. Right. But it's definitely it's a lot better when you do like each other. Sure.
And that's, when those teams get to that. And at Notre Dame, like, we talk about our success. And, here's the greatness of that coaching staff and Holtz and the team that he put together, coaches included, was we policed ourselves. the coaches just coached. They really just coached X's and O's and technique. All the other stuff, we did that ourselves, amongst ourselves, right? Like when somebody wasn't doing their job, we got on them. Like, hey, man, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
You know, you need to, get your head, get back in the classroom, man, or you're slacking here. What's going on? We policed ourselves because the bar was up here, and it was like, and what I liked about it was the older guy. It was just a weird time in Notre Dame, right? We had those the guys who came before your class. They had that leadership, right? Because they had been there. They were older, right? Your class started that swagger. My class came in there like, like I'm taking your job, your job, and it was like it was like it wasn't that automatic respect thing. It was like I ain't giving you any respect until you prove it to me. You got to get it from me. I'm not just gonna give it to you just because you're older than me. Like you got to beat my ass to get it. And when you do that, I will respect you for that. Right. I'm not gonna hold no. Like all right, you're the better man. Right now, I think I am. So until you beat me, you can't beat me. So, and that was the attitude that we had, and the talent that even after that, and it was handed down though. We took pride in that though.
Sure. Yep.
And I can say this: one of the differences I think from players today, and I could be wrong. I hate to be that guy back in my day, but here in Albany, remember Tiger Clark?
Yeah.
From Miami. So he was a coach at University of Albany, and we finally figured out we hooked up. And so when Notre Dame played Miami, we got on a radio show and we were just talking. And then we actually shot together for one of the Catholics versus Convicts thing, but it ended up being on the cutting room floor. They went on a different direction for it. But with him being a coach and still coaching now, I was like, well, what is the difference now in these players? Everybody thinks they're going to go play pro football, right? And he was like, you went to Notre Dame because you wanted to play for Notre Dame. Had nothing to do about what the school can do for you afterwards, as far as like in the pros, whatever. It was like, I went to Miami because I wanted to play for the Hurricane. I wanted to be a Cane. And that was the difference. Wow. He's like, today, I don't know if kids go to schools because that's where, that's, I got to be a part of this. Like, this is Notre Dame.
Exactly.
I don't know if that's the case now because it's so commercialized. It's so, and what I think is not as good, maybe it is to some degree. I could be that old guy, but those rivalries are not the same, right? And like, even though it's funny, like it's more for the fans. Like you and I know the players. Look, we're just out to play the game. Even the Hurricanes, right? We're all good friends, whatever. We're not good friends, but whatever. We get it. We're just playing a freaking football game. We know it. We're not out there trying to hurt anybody, this or the other, right? And there's no good and bad, man. Like that, I used to love that fact of like good versus evil and protagonist and antagonist.
Sure.
That to me, that's what the rivalry is about. That makes good television. Now it's all, show packaging, and things like that. Hell, I don't even know if that Auburn-Alabama game is even that much. I could be wrong.
No, I know,
right. Be wrong.
Right, exactly.
But man, it was that part I miss. I miss that rivalry. I miss that good guys versus bad guys, even though it really wasn't the case. But that's what it was thought to be.
That was great. Just about to wrap up a little bit. I'm just gonna kind of give you our last question here, but just wanted to say to the folks watching and listening, this is a great kind of experience for folks to kind of get a little snippet of kind of who Derek is now and was as a young kid in school. And I think it's great to have a chance to kind of share these moments with the individuals from Holtz's era because, he's not getting any younger. And I think the idea of kind of carrying on this legacy that, quite honestly, at 18, I didn't know what the hell trust level commitment meant. I didn't know what what's important now meant. And these are mantras that I live currently on a daily basis now. So it's just so weird how when the message is done the right way as freshmen, and I don't care, we couldn't have, if we didn't win a national championship or a game, these are still life lessons that we were able to learn. So I think that's something special.
Oh, totally. I mean, like, remember the relaxation thing we do before every game? Who did that? That started meditation. We did that. Yeah, man. It was just that, and then how do we prepare? Like the goal setting, right? It was all remember the big thing was we're going to wake up champions, because that's when they would vote on it. You're going to wake up a champion. You're not going to become a champion that night. You're going to wake up to be a champion.
Right.
And people didn't realize is like our first thing was to be a 500 team, was to beat USC, was to make it to a bowl game,
right?
Was to make it to a January 1 bowl game, right? And then it was to become a national champion. But it all was, if you take care of the little things, big things will take care of themselves. And so that's how you got to break it down. And, that's what I find, it may be tough sometimes, but that's how you got to get back to it. That's the love, trust, commitment, man. That's the blueprint. I could say probably the things that I could take away that I use, to this day. What's important now.
Sure.
Remember, he would always harp on that, and I catch myself saying that all the time. All right, what's important now? Okay, I need to do this.
Right.
Take care of the small things, big things take care of themselves.
Sure.
And I think that goes to the whole, and then also to the flinching. Like, don't flinch. Remember that? Don't flinch. Trick play. When the Hurricanes did that trick play on that punt thing, they flinched.
Dude, seriously, man. And it's crazy because this is 30 years or whatever. Anytime I see a trick play, I'm like, oh, they flinched. And it's like, my friend's like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, nah, you don't understand. When a team when they become desperate, then I kind of break it down.
When they go out of their character.
I never thought about that way. I'm like, dude, don't even ask me how I know that. But I remember, don't flinch because, or, if a team does something like you said, outside of the norm, you've won. You beat them because now they're trying anything they can to win.
Exactly. And then there was that whole mentality too, where it was, they taught us, like, I think it was Holtz who said, like, it's the ebb and flow. Like, hey, sit tight, stick to the game plan, ebb and flow. Momentum is always changing. It's always coming. Just sit tight, continue the game plan, right? And just ride the waves of the game. Don't force anything. Just ebb and flow of the game. There's going to be some bad plays. Got to capitalize. We want to minimize the mistakes. Right. They're going to happen, but let's minimize them. And that's how we did it, man. I mean, we were 43-7 during my 4 years there. Bro. Yeah. And those 7 games, I mean, truthfully, we should have never lost a game, bro. Should have never lost a game.
Right.
And I think even to this day, if we ask Holtz about Miami down in Miami, when he told us if anybody gets in a fight, you are not playing. And the fact that when we came out the tunnel, whatever, down in Miami, and they were on the 20-yard line taunting and stuff, and we couldn't get at it, that hurt. And I think that's the one time I think he knows that too. I think. So you gotta let pit bulls be pit bulls.
Well, here's the thing, Derek, and this is crazy. When he was on my podcast last year, out of the blue, and I was asking about something. He's like, "Hey, hold on, I want to talk to you about. I want to talk about something." And he talked about that, and he said, "If that's the one coaching moment that he regrets out of his whole career, is that he was." And I was sitting there like in awe. I was like, "What?" So when you have a chance, go to my YouTube page, watch him, and I actually have it in the comments where he actually says it.
Oh, I want to see it. I definitely will.
Dude, seriously, I mean, it is, and I was sitting there like,
I never knew that. I never knew that. I felt it. He actually said it. He's like, that's the one thing he wish he had back.
Exactly.
Wow.
And I'm like, I mean, I got chills talking about it now, but I was like, did he just say this? How am I supposed to react? I mean, like, I was freaking out because I wasn't expecting it, and for him to kind of come out of the blue, because we all thought that years and years and years. Now, 30 years later, he's like, "Hey, hold on, Chris. The one thing I want," and I was like, "Wow!" And to hear him, and again, it's not taken up because, dude, I mean, we would have won that game. We were back to back. That'd been a whole different story. Yeah. But hearing him say it, and again, being older and life goes on, everything else, it's like, wow, like this really. It wasn't something he was like, "Oh, hey, let me see, let me talk about it now." I'm talking to Chris, one of the players. mean, it was some thought.
That bothered him.
It really, really did bother him.
Wow. Well, I got two things. Not throwing to the tight end enough.
and then not letting pit bulls be pit bulls, man.
Pit bulls be pit bulls. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all right, hey, here's our last question. So share with us what you're doing now, because we've heard kind of the stories of young Derek Brown, kind of older Derek Brown, kind of life lessons. So share with us what you're doing now.
So now I work for an energy company, a brokerage. Actually, it's based out of New Jersey. It's called Green Crown Energy. Okay. What we do is we sell in deregulated states. We sell, or I'd say 90% procurement, meaning we sell electric and natural gas to industrial and commercial users. But anything that will help them decrease their demand, we get involved with. So anything with their energy spend, we either partner with companies or we have some companies that already in-house that can handle it, from LEDs to lighting to generators, things like that, and also even water purification systems, stuff like that for large apartment complexes and things like that. I also too I work with actually a friend of mine in the food business, has about like 30 different restaurants, 14 Jersey Mike's, 10 Moe's Southwest, a couple Menchie's frozen yogurts. He's looking for the other concepts as well, possibly. I kind of help him a little bit. I'm kind of going through a transition, trying to figure out exactly what I want to do. Kind of going forward. As you know, a lot of people know my wife passed this past April 2nd, a 4.5-year battle of lung cancer. Non-small cell lung cancer. She was a non-smoker, perfectly healthy. Got the bad luck of the draw, and she passed away after a 4.5-year battle. And very fortunate. I got 2 kids who play Division I basketball. My daughter Sydney is a senior at UC San Diego. My son is a sophomore at UNLV. So I spent my time staying up late watching those damn West Coast games. Man, last night he played at 11 o'clock. The game, 11:15, because there was a game before theirs.
Oh my God!
Yeah, man. So it's rough, but as parents, you do what you got to do, right?
How often do you have a chance to check them out in person?
I try to get out there like once a month.
Okay.
For the most part, I've been fortunate enough since like September, really been out there once a month. With February being a short month, my in-laws probably go out there. My in-law family, sister-in-law is gonna go out there. My mother-in-law, father-in-law go out there. We kind of space it. This year we actually spent Christmas in Cabo San Lucas, which was nice. Nobody wanted to be home, so it was just me and my 2 kids. We spent Christmas in Cabo. So
nice.
Yeah, man, my life is my kids, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life on the back 9. So
that's awesome.
Looking sales jobs, maybe. I might start looking.
There you go. Well, I'm an executive search, so when you're ready, man, give me that resume. I'm sure we'll absolutely. But I also want to give a plug to the non-special edition. Derek, I want to have you on my podcast, the Zorich Podcast, because there's some really great things I love to unpack and really kind of talking about a little bit about kind of growing up in an area where probably weren't going to go to Notre Dame, and it's just kind of so interesting, kind of really everybody's journey. And I would love to talk a little bit more about your kids and what advice you gave to them when they were, 18, 17, thinking about what school they were going to go to, and what was important. So I'd love to kind of have a chance to do that. But right now, this is kind of Holtz's Heroes deal. So in the future, you will be getting a phone call from me about being on the Zorich Podcast. But I'd like to thank Derek. I'd also like to thank Reggie Brooks and the Holtz Heroes Foundation for having a chance to look at former Black players during the Lou Holtz era and really kind of understand not only, kind of challenging moments, but really kind of how successful we were as a unit, right? We talked about, and this doesn't necessarily have to do with race, but being kind of your brother's keeper. in having these instances, and I think you alluded to it before. Yes, I may have a coworker I worked with for 25 years, but I didn't play football with Derek Brown. You know what I'm saying? So, it's we haven't talked in a while, but instantly we have that karma because we threw up in the same garbage barrel. We jumped in the same bath of ice water. We took showers together, all this other stuff that my employee or my coworker of 25 years had an experience with me.
Right.
So
I mean, we lived together. Like, it wasn't just up and down. Like, your coworker in that office setting, for the most part, got the best of you every day.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they weren't there, man, when that day when you found your mother.
Sure.
Sure. We were there with you.
Right.
When Bobby Satterfield,
right,
when he passed,
right,
we were there.
Right.
So yeah, it's just it's deep, man. It's deep.
And as we get older, all of a sudden things become kind of more important, and we're going to become those old guys giving sage advice. Again, thank you very much to Reggie Brooks and the Holtz Heroes Foundation for putting on this celebration of the Black student athlete during the Holtz era. Derek, thank you very much, man.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. Love you.
All right. Love you too, man.
All right.